Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Bronwen Williams and I'm a geologist from Laughterworks Australia. And today I have with me Susan Carew.
And I'm just going to sit down
Here
here.
she is.
Hello, how are you?
Susan, I'm good, thanks.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about yourself, Susan.
Okay, just for the people out in YouTube, I'm into world peace, so I've been in my past a peace clown and a peace educator, and now I'm doing workplace bullying in the workplace. And as Bronwen just suggested, she's involved in the laughter area, and so we want to have a discussion today that, what should we talk about?
Oh, let's just sort out the whole world. We spent 10 minutes on saving the world.
It's not a problem, we can do it.
The first thing I'd like to talk about is, as everyone knows, our dear darling friend Bronwen Williams took his life, and as everybody knows, he suffered for a long time with depression, so I thought we'd have a little chat about that.
Do you know, I don't know if everybody actually knew about that, because I know I didn't know that he suffered with depression.
Oh.
But what I would say in respect of Bronwen Williams is the connection I feel to him is through Patch Adams. And I travelled to Russia with Patch, which I found incredibly interesting, the parallels between the two, given that Patch was also in a mental institution. And it was whilst he was in there, do you remember? Whilst he was in there, he had a realisation.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that was? From your perspective? If you don't, that's okay.
I did yesterday, I don't today. Remind me, Susan.
He realised it was important to be happy, and he made a decision to be happy every day for the rest of his life. And so what Patch Adams does is he clowns around the world now, and he's not depressed. So when I heard about Bronwen Williams suiciding, I thought about that, and maybe it could have been different had he seen the world in a different way. Why do you think it happened? What's your view?
I think that he just didn't know who Bronwen Williams was, and I think when you're so famous, the world tells you you're something, and I think on a deeper level we know that that's not exactly who we are, or that's not only who we are, and I think we get to be who we really are doesn't really show up or seem to be valued as much as the role we're playing on the world stage. And I think not being seen for that, or not feeling maybe not valued for that, I think is very painful.
And I think I'm a clown, so Bronwen Williams is definitely a clown. But you wonder behind the mask, and a lot of people will be obviously talking about the mask and how there's these two personas, and as you were pointing out, people don't know necessarily who they are because they get so used to playing the role that, in his case, I'm sure he would have gone out there and tried to make everyone happy because they expect it of him.
That's what they expect. That Bronwen Williams is this divine clown,
always happy,
and always happy. Yeah. And
maybe there's a bit of a danger in the sense of people feeling that they have to be happy all the time to please others.
Exactly, and I think they confuse what happiness really is. I think happiness isn't being on and jolly and happy, showing that. I don't think that's actually what happy is. I think happy is really, from my perspective and my experience, when we're in a state of being who we are, connection to who we really are, and being really peaceful. I think being peaceful, having a peaceful life and calm life, where we're not dragged around by our emotions and attachments and masks and and all that.
Well, how do people know who they really are? Because we assume we know who we are. And the reason I say that is because I've lived a life where I've done a lot of things by myself and not necessarily within organisational context. So I'm with me, 24/7. And I've got to see myself, is what I mean by knowing myself and questioning. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think knowing what your values are really, and being able to live those values, I think that gives us a sense of self and sense of calm and peace. I think if our values are mirrored out in the world, then I think we're more in connection with who we really are, I think, and we feel more peaceful.
What sort of values would you value? If I may use it.
Love, the big love. I think feeling connected to other people, feeling Yeah, I don't know. What are yours? Tell me yours. Tell me some of yours.
Honesty is one of mine.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
a great believer in honesty.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people cover.
Mm.
Another one is, for me, obviously happiness. I get a lot of happiness from creatively expressing myself through poetry, by being a clown, having a bit of fun, but not being afraid of what others think of me. And I think many people are putting on personas to be accepted.
Yeah, to fit in. Because everybody wants to belong.
And I'm a great advocate of you be yourself. And as I was saying to this lady this morning, there was someone I talked to outside, I said, what I would love to see is people just be themselves, and it's up to us to learn to accept others. It's not about others having to please me, turn up the way I want. They can just be themselves, and that's what makes me happy, is when people feel comfortable enough. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's certainly my work as a joyologist, is freeing people to be themselves. And that's what happens in the workshops that I run. It doesn't take very long, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and they're already have gotten in touch with that deeper part of themselves that's authentically who they are, their true nature, their playful self, their, you know, they really get in touch with the sense of who they really are. Then they play, you know, you get to play with others.
Do you play?
What
do you play with? Would you like to tell the people how you play? Because we saw you playing last night.
I do.
Sorry, I'm taking the nose.
Oh,
now.
she's got my nose. Well,
now this is how we really
playing's important.
Now meet the real Bronwen Williams.
Speak up.
She's not chicken to be herself, let me tell you.
Not at all.
We went out to Kmart last night. It was our big night out.
You gotta love Kmart.
Oh, geez, it was fun.
Oh my, the toy section, you gotta go.
She actually filmed it, and there was a nice squeaky pig.
Ooh, lots of them.
And squeaky chickens.
I had one under one arm, one under the other.
I like this one.
And a chook, and
Yeah,
another
that's the
chook.
chook that you had.
Oh yeah, that's the chook.
So if I might explain it to the people watching you, this was true. This was not for YouTube. But she just grabbed the pig and whatever that is, a chicken, I guess. It's a very long.
I'm thinking it's a chicken.
I think it's a cross between a bloody giraffe and a chicken. Look at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one's sitting there going like that. You know how when you were young you used to put your hand on your arm? Well, she put the chicken under her arm. Yeah, she did the chicken dance in the middle of the aisle, and then these two other people turned up.
How wonderful was that?
Do you
That couple. They must have been in their early 60s or something.
Sorry.
They must have been in their early 60s or something. And they were gone, they had the chickens under the arm.
And a pig.
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. So what it did was it gave those people an opportunity to just get in contact with that playful part of themselves and just join in and, yeah, really get a sense of themselves, their playful self. And the more we do that, the more we're able to be who we really are, the happier we'll be.
And you know, like last night, I mean, this one's a clown, and I'm a clown too, but this one's really a clown. I think you're more of a clown. But anyway, what I loved was to see the whole place break out, but we did notice. Do you remember the shop assistant?
Oh,
her response was
funny.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, her absolute non-response. Like she just
No response.
wouldn't look at us. Nothing. It was like it wasn't even happening.
It was too middle-aged. Are we middle-aged?
Inside I think we're middle-aged. Well,
inside we're not.
I'm a 25-year-old, 56-year-old. I guess.
Yeah. Well, so what this shop assistant saw were these, in her eyes, I'm imagining, these older women acting like children, squeaking on toys, and then it turned out to be a bit of a group doing it. But I was watching her because I noticed her reaction. She was not responding at all.
No, she just continued to stock the shelves and
didn't even look.
Trolley.
And what that tells us, and this is really important to notice, is that when people shut down like that, it means that they're very embarrassed and they're very afraid of something that's happening around them that's spontaneous and not controlled. She would have been taught as a shop assistant to behave in a certain way, and that sort of she didn't know how to deal with that sort of conduct, particularly given we were adults, older people.
Yeah, probably twice her age. She would have. I don't think she would have been more than 22.
She might have never seen people do this before,
I doubt it. Yeah.
It was interesting.
And I think this is exactly what we're talking about in the beginning. I think when people are shut down and they're not allowed to express themselves, they lose contact with who they really are, their true identity, because that's not allowed to be expressed. It's unacceptable to be who you are in society, generally, at the moment, and has been for a long time. So no wonder people are feeling depressed.
And what I see depression as, and again, you know, harking back to Robin Williams, obviously there was a part of himself that he was suppressing. And the way I see it is when the emotions are suppressed, the true emotion, like I can't be unhappy, I can't cry, I can't be showing any form of what we perceive as weakness, and it's not weakness, it's very natural to be sad.
I think it's a strength to cry.
It's a great strength to have the
Yeah,
courage to show it. Unfortunately, we have very powerful gender roles, so men, I feel deeply for men, because I think they are very shut down. Because the minute a guy cries, it's like, oh, come on, mate, you know.
I know, the
shape
guys,
up.
and even women do that too to men. With
Do they?
men,
Yeah.
I have been reading more and more stories lately in surveys and things like that, research, is that when a man sometimes is vulnerable to his partner and maybe does cry, she finds it difficult to handle and is sort of, you know, come on mate, it's all right, you know, and
maybe she gets
shut
scared.
him down.
Maybe she
I think
gets
women
scared.
do get scared because they're not used to it, and men are put in this position, I think too, to being the strong one, to be the big one, to be the macho, and to look after the female, and instead of it being a balanced, there's no balance, you know. Men are put into that position and women are put into the weaker.
And maybe it's a bit of a stereotype, and the reason I'd say that is because my mother and my stepfather, my mother's more the you don't cry type, believe it or not, and my stepfather, he'll cry, you know. He's a really gorgeous guy, he's very gentle man, but he's as strong as an ox when it comes to, like, if you want us to build a house. He's the sort of guy that will turn up every day and he'll just plod along and he won't say anything much, but he'll get the job done, you know. And yet he's the one that feels more and he plays more too. He flicks my mother on the ear as he walks past. He's actually quite clown
That's
himself.
affection, isn't it? That's an affectionate thing.
But I like that, and in their case it's role reversal, you know, where she's the more macho, masculine female, and he's the more feminine. So maybe that's where the confusion lies, in that men think they have to be masculine, whereas some men are not. They're quite sensitive and
they're just
really
a
kind.
normal they're a human being. They're not in a role that is particularly masculine, you know, and just free to be a human being.
Because
And
Robin
just
Williams,
express how you want.
Robin Williams wasn't masculine, was he?
Do
you think? What do you
I think he was very masculine. I think
Yeah.
his appearance was very masculine,
Yeah.
but I think his sensitivity, society possibly views as not particularly masculine, because he had
You
quite
can
a
say
soft
feminine.
side. Well, I wouldn't even say feminine. I would say not the stereotype macho. But he was quite hairy, you know, it's like, you know, dark haired and quite a hairy guy, Robin. Like he was quite muscly and, you know, it's quite solid and masculine in his appearance.
Yeah, it's funny. To me, I saw him more of an artist. And for me, the word feminine is very easy. I don't see it as female. A lot of people think the masculine means man and the feminine means female, and it doesn't. The masculine is probably this more forward-pushing energy. It's more extroverted in my view. This is just my opinion of it. Whereas I see the feminine as probably a bit more sensitive, more communicative, emotional. But I've seen that in both men and women. So
Absolutely. That's why I say I think it's a human trait to have those qualities, characteristics. But I think maybe females have more of the sensitivity, you know, like because partly we're brought up that way, you know, like it's really funny. I find it really funny when I hear somebody say to their little fella, you know, they might have a 3, 5, 6-year-old little boy, and if he falls over, you know, that even mothers I've heard saying, "Oh, get up, stop crying, man up." But you know, isn't it interesting how often a little girl's told to woman up? It never happens, does it?
Well, it sounds funny anyway.
It does sound funny because it's never done. I mean, why doesn't it sound funny to tell a little boy to man up when he's obviously like barely a toddler? You know.
Now this can take us into an interesting dimension of this discussion. You know why?
Why?
What I always say to people, because they say, you know, no, you're born that way. You know, men are born this
Oh,
way.
okay. Yeah.
I go into the point of discussion of what about the children that ran with wolves? Do you remember? Like, if you go onto YouTube and you Google feral children, you'll find there's been many instances of children that have actually been raised by wolves and different types of animals. It's really interesting.
I don't know how they survive.
They become like them. And I know with the case with the children that were like wolves, they literally ran on all four, leg, and they grunted and they growled. They did not speak a language. They didn't get hypothermia in the snow. And when these children, in this particular case, it was a little boy I'm thinking of, he was actually captured. And he was captured by scientists, and they put him in an observation area. Within 2 weeks he died because he did not relate to the human beings at all. And what that always tells me is that we are trained to be the way we are. The nurture argument is what I see. Yes, there are natural hormonal differences, obviously, there's biological differences, but I would not undermine for a second the power of suggestion. Another example would be children who, they did an experiment with a little boy and a little girl, and they put the little boy in a pink jumpsuit and they put the little girl in a blue jumpsuit, and then they observed, this is the psychologists observed, how the adults interacted with each baby.
Yeah.
Now when a man came in, let's say, or a woman to some extent, probably to a lesser extent, saw the baby in the blue jumpsuit, they were rougher with the child. Oh, you know, he's a nice little man, he's very strong, you know.
Yeah.
Nice chicken. No, I'm joking. And then the little girl was the opposite, obviously, you know. Isn't she sweet? And she's so fragile. Yeah. Poor little thing, you know.
I know.
No, I'm joking. But nonetheless, the little girl was treated in a more gentle way, and the little boy was treated in a more boisterous way based on perceptions of males and females. So I do think we're trained, and you know, people like Bronwen Williams, in my view, is a very sensitive type of male, and that isn't favoured at the moment as a form of masculinity. They tend to still promote men as men, you know, come on, let's be brave, let's not show our emotions.
Yeah.
You know, and women are becoming a bit more aggressive if you look at cartoons and stuff like that.
You don't mean assertive? You mean aggressive or assertive?
In the cartoons, aggressive.
Okay.
They have weapons and they fight.
Yeah.
You know, Matrix.
So I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but it's
I don't think it's
interesting.
I don't think it's who we are.
No, and I think it's partly because I think women are the ones that actually carry the child and bear the child and spend much of their time, certainly for the first 10 years or so, they know what it takes, the pain and suffering and cost of creating a human being, and men are not. They may be an observer in that, but the woman actually feels the pain and is the one that gives most of her time. So she knows, I think women have more of an idea of the value of a human life than men do, and are maybe a little bit more gentle.
But that's not because men don't care.
I don't think it's because men
I'm
don't
not
care.
suggesting you're saying that.
No,
but I'm just thinking that's because men are often absent fathers. They have to work all the time. And I think men don't get the time with the children that they probably need. And it's been typically that role modelling of women's job to raise children.
Yeah, but I think a lot of women do work. Like a lot of women, for many years now, have worked as well. And children in daycare, or once your child goes to school, then the mother will work. So I think there certainly is absent father, sort of problem in society, and many countries in the Western world. But I think there's also a little bit of an absent mother as well. To be honest,
and that could be a real problem.
And I think it is a shame. I think it would be nice if there was a little bit more of a balance in there.
And I think for kids, kids are getting it. Like I know from my experience clowning around the world, I've clowned with children in all cultures, and the third world cultures, the kids tend not to be scared of clowns, and they tend to be more confident, and they, very joyful. I mean, kids are great everywhere, but I do find in Western countries they're a little bit more cynical, and they're a little bit like they'd be more inclined to go, oh, it's a bit weird. Whereas a child in, say, India would be going, wow, a clown. It'd be completely different attitude. And I think it's to do with the media and this idea of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. The children are kind of losing their innocence to some extent, I think, in the first world.
Yeah, and definitely becoming desensitised along with the rest of us. Yeah.
So what would we say as some final words to people, given you've come from a laughter background, I've come from the clowning background.
Yeah.
And the general theme, which was really about humour and depression, really.
Yeah, and did you know there's some amazing benefits in laughter, particularly with regards to depression. Just even faking a smile. If some people say, oh, I don't want to fake it, you know. But actually, it actually works the same way, because your brain doesn't actually know what's real and what's not. And if you just fake a smile like this, you see my little bunny cheeks here, Susan?
Bunny cheeks?
Little bunny cheeks.
I've never heard you say
bunny,
that before.
Bunny cheeks. So those muscles
I
are
call those
clicking.
wrinkles.
Oh, here. No, here. My little bunny cheeks show that they're connected to my brain. So what happens is my brain thinks, oh, Bronwen's happy, and sends down all these happy hormones, endorphins, and washes my body through with all these beautiful happy hormones, and increases serotonin, which is one of the big problems with depression, depleted serotonin. So if we can keep that serotonin up, we can ease our depression, and we can just do it for a couple of minutes a day. Let's have a go. Do you have a giggle?
Just before you do
Oh,
that.
I wanted to have...
No, we will. I'm not saying don't.
I'm ready.
I'm just saying that, just want to add a point to that with kids who are always on their computers, you know, like, or on their iPhones. They're not actually interacting and laughing a lot. I mean, it's becoming very isolated. So I think I think we're going to see more depression, is my point. And until we start more time with families being together,
definitely.
Not taking ourselves so seriously as a culture, where we're forcing people to be what they're not, rather than a very open, accepting, harmonious culture where we actually accept diversity, and not just on a label, but actually really accepting that people are different and we're not meant to be the same. And learning, you know, to laugh a bit. So we're going to do a bit of a demo.
Join us.
Come on. Are you
Here
ready?
we go. Are you ready, Susan?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
So is that. Can I have what you're having? Or another way of doing this. So you can shut it off now. Another way of doing this is, or this is the way Dr. Madden Kataria does it, which is ho ho ha ha ha,
Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha.
ho ho ha ha ha, ho ho ha ha ha, ho ho ha ha ha, ho ha ha ha. I'm just joking. Freeze. And then you might do a tantrum in a workshop.
Yeah, we did tantrums in my workshops. Yeah, we did lots of we make balloon animals. Yeah, this is all about just having fun, just stepping outside of that. You know, from the time we're little, we're told to, you know, wipe the smile off your face and grow up and act your age and all this stuff. So by the time you get to be my age or younger, we're very well, you know, we're very well behaved.
We're well rehearsed.
We're well rehearsed, and we don't laugh out loud, and we don't look at each other in a lift, and we do all these, you know, we abide by society's rules, which is pretty tragic.
We do, and just to sort of share as a last thing, the power of being free is being able to be yourself completely spontaneously. And I know, having travelled 20 countries and been into Russia with Patch Adams too, who Robin portrayed in the film, what was powerful about that experience with clowns was that all of us just played around in our own way, and we all had our own techniques of funniness, being fun. And we were interacting with Russian people, you know, obviously there's no language barrier, but you can blow up balloons and, you know, send them off, or you can be a statue, you know. You can do anything on the street, hug people.
And one thing I love about laughter as well, Susan, is that it's a universal language. You can laugh on the street in Melbourne, in Venezuela, you know, anywhere. You start laughing or see someone laughing, you can't help, you know, they're happy or there's something funny going on. It's just this, it's this universal language, and we always know what it means when someone's having a giggle. We know that they're happy or they're having a joyful moment.
And that's when we all truly meet, is when we have a really great laugh together. So I start to see myself in the other. No longer for me personally, I no longer see difference, because I see them as me now. And even if I'm in a refugee camp in, say, Cambodia, or in northern Thailand, as I have done, or a HIV clinic, when I look into the eyes of those people as a clown, I see the humanity that connects us. But the diversity within unity is really about accepting that, yes, on the surface we're all different, and we should really honour that difference, rather than casting them as refugees or casting them as some other in some way. let's just see them as a part of the human family. And so when I see you in me or me in you, that's when we join. And there's no depression in any of that. It's an absolute joy.
Yeah, it's a freedom.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a freedom.
It's freedom.
And that's what we want, being free to express who we really are.
True. And with that, we're just going to send a big lot of love to Bronwen Williams for what he gave everybody.
Oh, what a joy. And I tell you, I
It's awesome.
cried, and I've stopped crying now, but I was crying 2 or 3 times a day, quite devastated for a day or so there. But yeah, I'm good now.
I think Robin is, I think what's going to happen now is people are going to start looking at depression, and let's start to bring more well-being and happiness into the world as a real thing, not as something that we're all pretending to be. But we might have to start to question what makes us unhappy and be brave enough to talk about it to each other. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to say goodbye.
Bye.
It's been lovely. And we hope that something beautiful comes to you today.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.